What's up fam, my name is Tech, and welcome to my Mass Effect 3 multiplayer guide for the Krogan Battlemaster. I'll be starting by going over the racial passives and then the active abilities. Following that, I'll give you some builds you can try to start off with the class. Special disclaimer for this video. I released this video once before and got some things wrong, so I re-recorded a few lines for it. If the audio is a bit off in some spots, that's why. And with that out of the way, what can Krogan do? As a Krogan, you have the most innate tankiness of any other race. By default, the squishiest Krogans have 750 health and 1000 shields. However, the Battlemaster has a third more health at 1000. At 1000 each, you're already more tanky than most classes with max investment before consumable boosts. This tankiness comes at the cost of mobility though, as you're not able to roll, but you can sprint and use cover. Your light melee is a headbutt, and your heavy melee is a short charge. Tied to your melee is a passive called Rage that no other classes have an equivalent of. Rage triggers when you kill 3 enemies within 30 seconds. It increases your melee damage and provides 20% damage reduction lasting 30 seconds. It'll only refresh if you kill another 3 enemies again. Connected to Rage, you have a passive that increases your base stats and the bonuses Rage provides. Through this tree, you can increase the damage reduction from Rage up to 30%, and you can even reduce the required kills to activate Rage to 2. Compared to that, the Krogan Berserker tree is nothing special. It's identical to Alliance training. The Krogan Battlemaster, in my opinion, is the second most tanky class in the game, and if you don't think it's second, it's third without question. It has the classic Vanguard charge with a few small differences from others. It's a bit slower overall, with a longer animation and cooldown, but it deals more damage and force. It also counts as a melee attack for the purposes of triggering Rage, though I'm not sure whether it benefits from melee damage boosts. This ability is very important to its ability to tank, and it's your main source of healing in CC. And as TJ Monster pointed out, since you don't have a roll, you can use the iframes this provides as a way to dodge some incoming attacks. It also has the biotic version of Tech Armor, Barrier. Barrier behaves nearly identical to Tech Armor, providing damage reduction, reduced power recharge, and the ability to detonate to remove it. Even the perk choices are nearly identical, with the only exception being that this one has the choice to take shield regen delay instead of melee damage. The two most notable differences is that Barrier's detonation can lift unprotected enemies much like Singularity, and Barrier can only provide up to 40% damage reduction when compared to Tech Armor's 50%. Its third ability is Carnage, a homing projectile that's pretty much a fiery concussive shot. As most fire-based abilities in the game, it deals more damage to armor and half damage to shields and barriers. It's both a primer and a detonator, however, as Archangel mentioned in my first post, the priming duration only lasts roughly 2 seconds. Considering the lowest cooldown you can get on Carnage is 2.4 seconds and the slow animation for charge, it should be pretty much impossible to combo using the two. So how do you build a class? Taking Rage into consideration with your actives, you actually have a good amount of options to choose from. My preferred way is to be as tanky as possible. To do this, take Charge with Barrier at rank 6. The other perks are preference. I like Radius for extra CC and Weapon Synergy for more shotgun damage. Melee Synergy is also valuable as more melee damage means it's easier to enter Rage, which gives you damage reduction. Skip Carnage in this build, then max Barrier taking both Barrier Strengths and Shield Recharge. The Krogan Battlemaster tree is all about getting that cooldown reduction, and for Rage take Durability, Martial Artist, and Fitness Expert. Here I think Martial Artist is more valuable since you should be getting barriers back with Charge. The same can be said for the Power Damage perk on Barrier if you already feel tanky enough. Using this build you can get to 1850 health and 250 Barrier with a Juggernaut Shield and no consumables. A close variation of this build focusing on melee damage and Rage would look something like this. Swap Melee Synergy on Charge and both melee perks in Rage. With this build you'll be considerably less tanky, but with all bonuses active you'll be doing around 4,500 damage with every heavy melee, which is more than enough to one-shot most infantry and a significant amount to elites. Here, I previously mentioned a combo build using Charge and Carnage, but for the reasons I mentioned earlier, that build doesn't work. Instead of just removing it and moving on, I decided to throw together another build that can use Carnage. It's partially inspired by another build Archangel gave in one of my older videos for the Vorcha Soldier. For this build, skip Charge and max Carnage with recharge speed and both damage perks. Then take Barrier with Barrier Strength, Shield, and Power Recharge. If you combo these with one of the elemental damage bonuses, in this example Disruptor rounds, you can prime targets with fast firing weapons like the Piranha, then you can detonate them using Carnage. This should strip most infantry shields, leaving them vulnerable to a high damage heavy melee and prime for a fire combo which your team can detonate. And you'll also be more tanky than most of the other classes that can use Carnage. As most Vanguards, you tend to be close to enemies and favor shotguns. My personal favorite for this class is the Rieger since it has very high DPS and it's good against all health types. The Claymore is also a really good choice as it's likely the highest damage shotgun at close ranges. If you don't like or have either of those, the Piranha and the Grawl Spike Thrower are good options too. This class can get good use out of all the elemental ammo bonuses since it can detonate combos with Charge. If you don't have the Rieger, Disruptor rounds can be particularly useful as you have nothing for shields. I always like to compare this class to the Krogan Warlord in terms of its tankiness. If you compare just the base stats, the Warlord edges out with about 175 more health and shields and 10% damage reduction more than the Battlemaster. If that were all you looked at, you could say the Warlord is the better tank. But in my opinion, Biotic Charge is a big strength in this comparison. It allows the Battlemaster to regen 250 shields instantly, roughly every 5 seconds. This is the highest possible shield restore ability in the game, and that's not even considering the potential mobility and CC it can provide. That's why I consider Battlemaster the better tank of the two. This class is probably best against Geth since none of the units have any instant kills. You don't really have any special way to deal with their shields, but since they mostly can't kill you, that's not a big deal for you. If you like this video, please drop a like so the YouTube algorithm lets other people know this game is still being played. The Cerberus Adept is hopefully coming this week, and the Geth Infiltrator will be after that. Later fam.